and wellness, which we could all use, and in particular, grief and bereavement from Grand Canyon University. She's lived in Kitchener County for over 33 years. She also serves as a board member for Silverdale PB's Adult Association. She works, her specialty areas in obstetrics. She's worked at Tacoma General as an L&D nurse there, as well as St. Michael's in her most recent job. So her specialty area is, again, obstetrics, and we're glad she's here because those are really hard to get for nursing faculty, is those specialty areas. She's actually taught in the AT program, the Veterans LPN and BSN program, and so we're really excited to have her on board as a tenure track faculty member. Welcome, please. I'm answering her clearly. Last but not least is Tamara Dykstra, which I believe she is actually on the Zoom call. She actually has been an adjunct faculty for years for us. Her specialty is pediatrics. Again, a very hard faculty member to recruit is those specialty areas where I'm glad I coerced her finally after years of being adjunct to come on board as full-time faculty. She's also a nurse practitioner in pediatrics. She received her bachelor's from Seattle Pacific University and went on to get her master's at the University of Colorado Health Science Center. She's been a nurse for over 25 years. And one cool thing about her is that when we went online during COVID, nursing, I decided to do a professional development, and she was one of the adjuncts that got her teaching certificate quality matters online certification. So she's certified in online teaching as well. So I'd like to introduce to her wherever she's at virtually. And we are just so excited to have these three new faculty members come on board. They are an amazing, amazing group of people. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. Because we're here. Are there any more introductions? Moving on, report of the Board of Trustees. Do the trustees have anything to report?
Okay, yes, I do. As always. First of all, I'd just like to report, I sent to the other trustees a note regarding the new Washington Association of College Trustees. We had a board retreat last month. I mean, it was a very exciting meeting. This is a very committed group of new trustees at the state level. And we're able to meet with Paul Francis, the new executive director of the state board, Chris Bailey, who's president of the President's Organization, and Phyllis Gutierrez-Kenny, who's the new board chair for the SBC. Anyway, and the outcome of this was some great discussions about the challenges, confronting us, and a resolve to work together. Up till now, the trustees and the presidents, the state board have all kind of worked, independently. There've been some silos here, and I think there's a commitment to start to work together. We have some very formidable challenges that are confronting not just OC, but the entire state system here. And anyway, to get this group together and see the energy and enthusiasm to take these things head on was very encouraging. Then last Tuesday, Paul, who's been on board, I think, just about a month now, gave a recap of the challenges, and I just thought I'd share this with you. First one he said is enrollment. I mean, it's nothing new, but he cited that the state is down 40% over the last 10 years. We have this huge hit, due to COVID, but it was a continuation of a trend that started 10 years ago. The leadership transitions. I don't know if many of you know, but we have, I believe, 15 or 16 of the 34 institutions will have new presidents this year. So there's a massive recruiting efforts going on. And then, as you can imagine, trying to onboard all of these leaders and bring them up to speed is a huge challenge. Third is workforce. It's getting out there, training, and well, actually, bringing workforce students in, but faculty, bringing faculty and staff into these programs. Funding is a huge problem that we're going to talk a lot about. And the one that we talked about that everybody's scratching their head, it's not just Washington State, it's all of higher education. It's convincing a skeptical public of the value of higher education. And, there's a statistic I just ran across recently that Washington State in particular is 46th in the nation in the number of students who graduate high school and go to a higher an institution of higher learning, either 2 years or 4 years, within 12 months. That's an abysmal number. We're at about 53%. The national average is about 63%. And just to see what can be done, Massachusetts is at 80%. So we clearly got a lot of work to do to capture. That's why this running start, is a great program. We've got to get into the high schools and convince these people that it's worth the effort to continue on. Anyway, so as you can tell, I'm very excited about the prospects of this. I also then wanted to say I was pleased to lead off the college convening last week. And it was just great to see so many people in person. There was so much energy in that room. I know many of you were there. And it's very encouraging. And I'm just hoping that we're able to keep up that energy and that commitment moving forward here, because we do have all these challenges we've got to deal with. And it's going to take all of us to make that happen and make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I'm sorry I missed last week. I have work obligations, but I appreciate that the trustees were there, and I like that you brought all this forward. I just have one quick announcement. We'll be looking at moving to all in-person meetings and no more Zooms next month. So we hope to be fully transitioned at that time to going back to everything in person.
I just want to echo what Tom just said. I got a chance to hear it before you, Tom, at Trustee Tuesday. So all that was just exciting. And also, the opening days was hands down amazing. We thank you guys. We could not have pulled it off without all of you. So please just know that we are very grateful and we really appreciate it. And also, I got a chance to talk with the ACT State Education Committee, and that was an excellent group of people that's really working on education at state level. So, Tom, you're doing a great job along with your board. So, thank you.
Thank you, very good. Adam, communication from the public?
Yes, there is communication from the public. First up, we have Sarah Adams-Nolan.
Madam Chair, members of the board, good evening. I'm here tonight to discuss the Faculty Senate Charter and its interpretation as it applies to the Senate President's presentation to you at the June Board of Trustees meeting. According to the Faculty Senate Charter under Roman numeral II, the Faculty Senate serves as the primary voice of the faculty. The Charter further states in Roman numeral VII that the Faculty Senate communicates with the faculty and provides recommendations to the President and may make recommendations to other campus entities. When the Faculty Senate President presented concerns regarding the evaluation of administrators last spring, she was functioning as that voice of the faculty, making recommendations to you, a campus entity. The Faculty Senate itself, as its charter defines in its scope, serves to provide a venue for problem solving. The Senate provides in Roman numeral IV of the charter the communication nexus for campus members to submit concerns for discussion. The Faculty Senate then relays those concerns to appropriate offices. Finally, the charter states the Senate will invite campus members to participate in dialogue on issues as necessary. This is exactly what the Faculty Senate President did. Concerns were discussed regarding the lack of evaluation of administrators. The college president and the board were invited to participate in that discussion, and the concerns were then presented to both the president and the board. Lastly, under Roman numeral IV, the charter states that the Faculty Senate plans and initiates its own agenda around the input and concerns of faculty and feedback and issues from other campus members as appropriate. We set our own agenda based on our concerns. The college president's performance is certainly one of those concerns. In these ways, the Faculty Senate and its president were and are acting in accord with the dictates set out in the charter. While it is true that there are issues that are excluded from Senate, particularly union issues, those issues are clearly delineated in the collective bargaining agreements. The CBA defines building and lunchroom use, hiring procedures, contract days, and compensation, and tenure and post-tenure processes, among many others. However, neither the essential nor related duties enumerated in the contract requires faculty evaluation of administrators. No passage within the CBA directly addresses how the faculty are to provide the college president feedback about performance, leaving Faculty Senate as the logical entity to do so. Regardless, however, of the venue in which the board requires us to have the conversation about the president's evaluation, the conversation has been happening and will continue to happen. Both the president and the board of trustees have been invited into the dialogue in order to share your points of view, your ideas, your suggestions. Barring such participation, faculty and the larger college community will continue to act in order to resolve the situation. In the spirit of shared governance, it would be better to work together. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Further discussion?
Pardon?
Further discussion?
We have up next, Dan Rock.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of members of the Board of Trustees. My name is Dan Roth. This is the beginning of my 9th year on the physics faculty here at the college. My public comment regards the college's strategic plan. Without a plan, any high-level decisions getting made are piecemeal, uncoordinated, and do not necessarily look beyond immediate needs. We are facing a tight budget and low enrollment. We need a plan to be able to address these issues in a sustainable way. As the leader of the college, it falls to the president to develop a strategic plan. At the all-college convening this year, President Cavalluzzi said he is, and I quote, ecstatic to not have produced a strategic plan. He is ecstatic that he did not deliver on one of his core duties as the president, which has far-reaching consequences across the entire college, especially in the ever-shifting landscape we find ourselves in. A strategic plan may be a living document that changes as different circumstances arise, but it is unacceptable to not even have a starting point. Developing a strategic plan is a collaborative process involving iterations of input and feedback from various groups across campuses, so it takes time to do. It is the president's responsibility to initiate and direct this process, and the president's responsibility to ensure a strategic plan is ultimately produced. After we received a report at the all-college convening on how tight the budget is, President Cavalluzzi announced that he would be hiring an external consultant for the strategic planning process. As the consultant fees are paid, the board must acknowledge the reason for this expense is that your employee, the president of the college, has been unable to deliver a strategic plan. Thank you for your time.
Lastly, we have Mr. Mendez.
Hi, good evening. Again, I'm Deb Montez, WPEA staff representative for Illinois College. I'd just like to make an opening statement that with the recent announcement of the rescinding of the Zoom meetings planned at the next one, I'd like to recommend that Olympic College record the Board of Trustees meetings and make them available and accessible on YouTube. For example, like your community partner, Kitsap Regional Library has done. It allows for more inclusion of community members and employees as well who are unable to attend such late evening meetings, even with the current virtual options they have, and they still can attend. For the higher ed contract bargaining update, which I have to give because my two stewards are not able to be here to give the WPEA report, so I have to do it in a comment. I hope I can get it in 3 minutes. After a long and stressful bargaining season, there has been a tentative agreement proposed before the next contract cycle. And members should see emails with the voting information in their personal emails in the next day or so. There will also be Zoom link information for several different scheduled members Q&As regarding the questions regarding the tentative agreement for the contract that's being proposed. If anyone has any questions, we ask that they contact either Margaret Hoden, Nora Downer, or myself. SBELA update. There is significant and growing concern that a new director and a family health advocate has yet to be successfully hired to oversee the SBELA program. We thought we should bring that to the board's attention. The demands to bargain for the union. The facilities reorg. We're still waiting on finalized historical pieces from OFM to finish up this document. It appears to be ready to be implemented, but our hands are tied until OFM makes a move. Telework policy, there's still some issues to be clarified with this policy, and another meeting with OFM will be scheduled soon to clear up the remaining details. The Cedar High MOU with Shelton. The union still has not received the proposed MOU for this academic year. It is now September 20th. Therefore, we are waiting for the college to provide that draft before we can meet with OFM. This demand to bargain was filed on July 26th. And for the record, the union was never notified of the Cedar High MOU at Shelton for the previous academic year at all. It was simply implemented without our knowledge. We hope that we can meet soon to discuss the impacts these types of third-party contracts have on our represented employees. Recruitment, retention, and attrition. The continued attrition of employees living on OC has constant impacts on current classified staff. Talking about low enrollment, how can these people continuously train new employees coming in, taking considerable time and effort for these employees, which directly impacts their ability to successfully complete their ongoing duties every day. There are still situations where newly hired employees leave after a very short time, some less than a month. We hope that HR has been following up with exit interviews and effectively addressing any clear reasons why employees are leaving so quickly after coming out forward. Returning to in-person work situations. Many members have reached out to our stewards with health concerns about working in person at the office on a more regular basis. Again, clear and consistent communication is key when keeping informed of changes in these work expectations. For example, for the opening days, announcements that were sent out to the community was very unclear to the classified staff. Some classified staff were told that they were required to attend. And if they weren't going to attend, they had to take paid leave. That was not correct. And we contacted HR to try and send out a correction email, which came out the day of opening days, later in the day. Not efficient. We expect these issues to be addressed in a timelier manner in the future. Meetings with President Cavalluzzi. WPEA is currently in discussions with HR and Labor Relations regarding the informal meetings with President Cavalluzzi. We expect to have a resolution regarding these informal meetings before the end of September. Thank you.
Yeah.
And is there any more communication?
That's the last 2 years.
Reports to the board, student government of Olympic College Board report.
I'm here, we have SGOC President Brett Hollinger. Any person?
Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, thank you.
I'm Brett Pollinger. I'm this year's SGOC president. This will be my 3rd quarter at at OC, and I am pursuing an AA in political science. Introduce the rest of my SGOC. My vice president is Toby Agte. The director of finance and operations is Rosie Harper, who should be in attendance there. Director of clubs and student life is Kaya Fletcher. Director of public relations and communications is Derek Kleinricher, and he should be there as well. And our SGOC office assistant is Alex Kopek. So, break down our annual goals for this year. I'm going to start by reading the opening statement. SGOC will work to provide more food options for all students via the coffee shop, food pantry, and food trucks. By reducing the stigma about food insecurities, increasing donations, and spending regarding food sustainability, and creating a better understanding of the food services we provide. We project to see a decrease in hungry students and an overall increase in class performance and retention. With our end of year time frame in mind, we project to have winter quarter drink trucks for the cold weather, food trucks for the spring quarter, and multiple food and or clothing drives throughout the year, starting with one in November. However, these goals are subject to change or expand depending on the completion of our timeline. So our three main annual goals for this year, our first one is housing. So it's kind of broken down in two parts. First would be the residence hall, just overall improve the living circumstances and the upkeep of the residence hall. And the second part would be for students living off campus. We would like to, as much as possible, decrease the number of students that are, couch surfing or homeless or having trouble finding a place to live. Personally, as someone that has struggled with homelessness at my previous school, it makes it real hard to concentrate in school and focus on homework and projects when you're trying to focus on where you're going to sleep that night. So that is something that we care a lot about and something that we like to tackle. And that kind of ties into our second annual goal, which is food sustainability. Kind of focusing on the food pantry, providing as many resources as we possibly can to students that are having food insecurities, creating a connection with those students. We did recently move our food pantry to our office in Building 12. So it's easier for us to get to. It's creates more of a bond between us and our fellow students with regards to the food pantry. And we'd like to reduce the stigma around food insecurities and asking for help. And our third annual goal is fostering belonging and wellness. So that's kind of an umbrella term for many things that we'd like to achieve. But one of the primary goals in that third annual goal is to increase the overall belonging and wellness of our LGBTQIA plus students, and just to overall create a more inclusive campus for all people of all walks of life. And some things that we've done recently, like I said, we relocated the food pantry to our office. We are currently looking for senators. During our fall quarter kickoff, we were able to get some signatures, but we are still in the process of finding suitable students to fill those positions. The WSA Summer Leadership Academy, that was held at UW Tacoma, and that was a really great time. I feel like as a team, as a unit, we were able to develop skills and learn more about policy at the state level, and as well as talk and organize with other schools and kind of play ideas off them and things that have worked for them. So it was a really effective and great time. So the next update, the Japanese Summer Intensive English and Culture Program. So Kaya and Toby specifically were able to introduce OC to potential international students and kind of get their interest in coming there. And in the future, we plan on meeting with Brazilian students in a similar program. OC Promise, on the 30th and 31st of August, OC Promise program orientation was held, and we were able to work with the students, kind of introduce them to campus, walk them around, introduce ourselves, kind of create those relationships with those students. So that was a great time as well. And then finally, for the last update, the fall quarter kickoff, that was overall great time. We had great interactions with students and faculty, and I overall had a blast. I got to dress up as Gifford and dance around and stuff like that. So I had a great time, and I think that everyone in SGOC had a great time as well. And that's it. Any questions?
Brett, wonderful job. Thank you. And I love the pictures too.
Oh,
thank you. So keep up the good work.
Yeah, and Brad, I'd just like to congratulate you on the set of goals you've laid out.
Very good.
Yeah, especially for addressing food and shelter.
Thank you very much.
Can I just ask an overall question? I know we talked about it before, but do students have the option of applying for staff and somebody here to direct it if they want to try and see if they were eligible for what in-state staff program?
No, I don't think, they're workforce development.
Your workforce? Okay. I was wondering if a lot of them would be eligible even for some small help with food insecurities.
Yeah, many of them do.
Okay.
And it's a prerequisite for at least one of our programs.
Great, thank you so much. I knew we had discussed it, but I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Washington Public Employees Association Board Report, Adam.
Madam Chair, Shopper Bowman informed me that there's no steward.
Thank you. Association of Higher Education Board Report.
Hi. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. Craig apologizes for not being here. He is scheduled to teach evening classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So in his place, various AHE representatives will be presenting the AHE report this morning. So first up is me. I am Dr. Emerald Leslie. I'm full-time vocal music faculty here at Olympic College, and I'm the membership chair for AHE. On behalf of AHE, I want to thank all the faculty and employees who are attending in person and on Zoom tonight. To start, it's unclear how our enrollment will land as we're just now starting to drop students for non-payment. However, we've seen some encouraging signs, and faculty have been working with administration to make adjustments to schedules up to the last minute. Part of the reason Craig isn't here is because he's teaching a synchronous online evening course in developmental English, because during the pandemic, we found an interest and a need for this modality of class to reach underserved students who are mostly working adults with children. Faculty across the college are working hard to meet students where they are and still deliver quality instruction and a solid education. It has been and continues to be challenging, particularly as we expand our student base and reach new populations. While we understand everyone at OC has had to adapt to a change in how, when, and where they work, faculty have the added obligation to ensure that we continue to provide quality education that meets the needs of our students and the community. When faculty change our work, we must consider the impact on every student. We hope you fully grasp just how difficult that has been and continues to be. On another note, with the impending lifting of the governor's proclamations and emergency orders, it's unclear where the public sector and CTCs will stand with required vaccinations for employees. We want to make sure that you're aware that there is a chance the state will leave it up to individual colleges to make that call. And that's just a conversation we'll need to have, as any decision will impact work conditions for all employees. We also want to make sure the faculty union is very clear about where we stand on the ongoing lack of evaluation and accountability for our administrators. We as faculty didn't get the option to just provide our own evaluations or skip evaluations by our students during the pandemic. But it seems as though the board has decided that it's okay for our administrators to do just that. I myself am beginning my 5th year teaching at OC, and I have not once had the opportunity to provide any input on my supervisors, and it's just not acceptable. As a union, we're discussing our options. The union has been asking for 2 years to have this problem addressed, and at this point, there's nothing to indicate that any progress has been made. Finally, AHE leadership has read the president's board report, and it leaves us wondering if OC really has the leadership to move us forward. While the pandemic challenged us as an institution, we adapted on the fly, literally changing the way we operated within weeks in spring 2020. That change happened on the ground with faculty and staff in real time. But it worries us that while we were working to keep the institution afloat, a clear course wasn't being set by our leadership for post-pandemic. Some questions are like, why couldn't we continue developing a strategic plan over the past 2 years? Many of the programs in allied health suggested in the president's report were talked about years ago and will still take years to develop before implementation. And we've been seeing massive increases in certifications by entities like Google and Amazon, which puts even more pressure on community college programs. But as we exit the pandemic, we're still asking so many questions, as indicated in the president's report. The faculty union is and has been here to engage because ultimately it's the quality of education provided by the faculty that's the value proposition of the college. We just need a direction to heed and leadership to get us there. Of course, we aren't presenting all of this to be confrontational, never. But without other avenues for us to give feedback to you, we have to present them here. Of course, as always, our classroom doors are always open. Just let us know if you'd like to visit. And for me personally, absolutely, if any of you ever want to come to one of my classes, let me know. I would be happy to have you there. And of course, we're doing a lot more music performances. So Please feel free to come. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Faculty Senate report.
Hello, I recently started going back to the gym, so I apologize if I seem rather stiff. Welcome to fall 2022. We are excited to see students, whether it is in person or online. The Faculty Senate would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who worked so hard over the last couple of weeks to get the college ready for the start of the quarter. So thank you to all the advisors and navigators for helping students pick their classes, to registration in the Welcome Center for getting students into our classes, to facilities for making sure that everything was clean and the grounds were taken care of, to security for keeping us safe and opening doors when we forget how to use our key cards because we haven't been into a classroom in 2 years. I was sure there was a code. You definitely swiped twice. There's not. Thank you to IT for getting all the computers ready to go, to the Center for Learning Innovation for helping with class prep and Canvas issues, because there always is a Canvas issue. And to the division office staff for answering the hundreds of random questions that they get about everything from where is my yoga class to which calculator do I need for my math class. We appreciate all the work that people have done all across campus to make this academic year possible. We would also like to especially thank the people in payroll and everyone who works on faculty contracts for doing and redoing our contracts over the summer because of changes in the CBA. And I couldn't find a polite way to say this, so just like the fact that CTC Link exists. So thank you all for the work that you do to ensure that we are paid correctly. We appreciate that work. Faculty Senate met during opening days and identified several other areas of focus for the 2022-2023 academic year. So in addition to the bookstore contract, open committee positions, and faculty awards, we will also be discussing academic honesty and test proctoring in online courses, as well as faculty expectations for Zoom. As the governor is lifting the emergency order in October, this changes the circumstances around online classes significantly. There is also some current, I think, court cases about cameras on in Zoom and different situations like that. So that is something that we will be looking there. We plan to investigate test proctoring and other requirements to improve academic integrity in online courses. We also plan to give feedback about the proposed block scheduling for classes and other scheduling issues that arise now that there is a wide variety of modalities and we are having to tighten up some of our offerings due to enrollment. There is significant concern around that. Lastly, we also plan to review recommended information that, or information that is recommended for faculty to include in their course syllabi. I did just want to clarify one thing too about our main concern about the bookstore contract. The current language in the contract prevents faculty members from recommending alternative places for students to purchase materials, especially, and so that inhibits us from telling them or putting it in our information about cheaper options. We're also concerned about bookstore recommended materials that are added to our courses without our go-ahead, and then the low cost designation on courses, as well as price matching policies and some of the difficulties that students encounter there. So those are some of the things that we will be looking to address over the next quarter and the next academic year. I would like to close with a comment about the administrator evaluations. I wish that I could say that I am disappointed in the progress that has been made regarding this issue, but disappointment would imply that I have expectations. I no longer expect that there will be much progress in this area. In June, the board said that they heard us. This was not the first time that we have addressed this issue. If they truly understand our concerns, there would have been more progress. I believe that a robust evaluation process will make the college a better place for all employees and therefore the students as well. We're not asking for an opportunity to vent or looking to take things out on administration. We are asking for an opportunity to help administration and the college grow and improve. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Comments? Yeah, Elizabeth, last time, you listed, fewer goals, you added something to the list.
We had a meeting in Morats.
Right, and I was hoping that you could come back with some recommendation. I can't, it's very frustrating to recognize the challenges facing this college with enrollment and with financing and that list that I read off earlier. And yet nobody's talking about any of that. You're talking about doing reviews, or I'll call this all arranging deck chairs on the Titanic. When are you going to get serious about saying that? What are we going to do to save this college? Because I'll tell you, in a year from now, if we don't make significant progress on that 1,000 students that I mentioned, bring them back, there's going to be a lot fewer people around here. And that's the reality of it. So, I respect what you're saying, but I sure wish people would get focused and start growing with the folks that are trying to make some changes here. Don't advance some positive ideas.
Thank you, Tom.
Mark, you do that too.
Absolutely.
Good.
And we're on that point, the comment about strategic planning. The board is the one that drove the hiring of a facilitator for strategic planning. I don't know how many of you have been through strategic planning sessions. I've been through many.
We've been through a lot here.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
The good, then you'll know the good ones are they're most effective when there's an outside facilitator who can come in and gather the different voices and consolidate them. You can roll your eyes, but it's absolutely true. So, but don't blame Marty for hiring him. You can blame us.
Thank you, Tom.
President's report to the Board of Trustees.
Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, I am happy to say we are back. Yesterday and today, there were hundreds of students walking the halls of this Bremerton campus. I don't know who was more excited, the students or the employees. It was all the stuff you expect from students during the first week. The questions like, are the 200 level rooms on the second floor? Where's my marine science class? I lost my schedule, can't figure out where my classes are. And this enthusiastic student who came bouncing down the hall said, I just had my first in-person class in 2 years. It had only 4 people in it, but it still had more energy than a Zoom class. And he was ecstatic and happy. So it's wonderful to see people back on campus. We even had our first fall kickoff event in front of the campus right over there. Last week, there were about 400 people there and about 50 OC employees who participated. It really was the first party on campus in years. I want to acknowledge the many employees who participated in the Roll Now events. There were many employees, including staff, faculty, and administrators, who took a lot of time to create these events that brought students on. They could do everything as one-stop shopping, and that yielded a lot of new students. I want to thank everyone who worked in student services, taking in students for fall quarter. Because of the delay in publishing the fall schedule, they had to bring the same number of students as we had last year, but in 2 fewer weeks, so they had to hustle a lot more. I want to thank the faculty who took the time to revise the fall schedule, as there were many changes that needed to be made. As you know, we're about where we were last year, but this is really better than watching double-digit decreases. I think we've turned the corner on that, which will make a world of difference. And since you're all talking about the strategic plan, I will say, I do not think over the last couple of years, the college as a whole would say that it had the bandwidth to help create a strategic plan. In fact, the board, you have heard multiple reports over the previous 2 years about how overworked everybody was and exhausted. So as with all decisions that involve the entire college, you need to strike a balance between getting the work done and pushing people to their breaking point. And I can say, I think over the last couple of years, people were right on the edge of that breaking point. But it didn't make sense for me to do it. So the logical decision was to hire a facilitator, which is what you wanted to do. In fact, it was the governance coordinating council that made the motion and approved the hiring of a facilitator to help create that strategic plan at our last meeting. There's a lot of work to be done internally to the college as well as externally. So clearly my use of the word ecstatic was a poor choice, but I stand by the decision to postpone the work to create a strategic plan until this year. as we're now coming out of this pandemic. People have more space to breathe, and it's more timely because no one could predict where we were going 2 years ago or a year ago when this pandemic would end, what the world would look like. So I think we're there now. I still feel okay with it. No longer ecstatic, I assure you, but I feel good that the work is going to get done. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Very good. Thank you, ma'am.
Instruction report to the Board of Trustees. Mr. Carcroft, do you have anything additional to report?
Yes, thank you, Chair Valerie, Board of Trustees. Great to see you all this evening. I suppose I just want to echo that it's exciting to be here in fall 2022 and to be starting a new academic year. I'm very optimistic about Olympic College and what we're going to do this year. And I say that as someone who plans to work with our college administration, with our faculty, classified staff, work through shared governance. I really see a bright future for Olympic College. And I feel like our mission will drive this college forward. I was telling my executive assistant, Melissa Rodriguez, today, as we were talking, this is where it's at. Community colleges is where it's at. I'm convinced that most, if not all of our employees at this college, whether they're administrators, faculty, staff, we believe in this mission. And I can tell you for me, this is right where I want to be. You know, we have a crucial role to play in our community and our region. I'm excited to participate. So I just wanted to note that at the outset. The transition, I'd just like to say that one of our employees who has been in the center of that mission for many years is Dr. Teresa McDermott, who's our Associate Dean for Transitional Studies and Career Center. And I wanted to acknowledge a special honor that she received. So on September 10th, several of us had the opportunity, Teresa herself, Marty, Amy Hatfield, Elaine Williams, Bryant, others had the chance to, and Trevor, I should say, who organized a table for us at the NAACP Freedom event. We had the chance to celebrate Dr. McDermott as she was honored at that event for her work in this community, her work at this college. The theme of the event was Black Women Are Supreme. And it was a joy to see Dr. McDermott honored at this event. Just a couple of things about her. The one thing I want to say I didn't write it down, but was shared at this event, was a former student stood up who is quite well known in our community, a successful person, and he credited Teresa as one of 2 people who contributed to his success and his path to where he is at today. And that's when I was talking about this community college mission, it comes down to those relationships like that. I know we have faculty that play those roles all the time. With students, I credit my faculty, my teachers when I was a student, as an undergraduate and graduate. And so Dean McDermott, Associate Dean McDermott has played that role for this college for many, many years. Has worked in this community, founded the Kids That Chronicle, which I understand has covered the topics that are relevant to communities of color that may not have been covered by mainstream news. Has volunteered on numerous boards and professional organizations with YMCA, Kids at Regional Library, Central Kids at Fire and Rescue, Citizens Advisory Committee, Black Historical Society, and the NAACP itself. And so I wanted to acknowledge her achievement, being honored with this, and just say thank you. So I hope we can give her a round of applause. I didn't even see you in the back. Nobody even heard you here. Thank you. Congratulations. I'm not sure if the board has questions with that inside.
If I was put back, maybe a high five.
Yeah. And Martin, I just wanted to congratulate you on the grants you won for the 25 additional nursing easy for me to say. There's a sync pathway for all that's in the CIS cybersecurity program. So
Yes.
Great accomplishment.
Thank you. And that's, the praise goes to those in those areas who apply. So, Dr. Alicia Nye and Beth Gill, Dr. Norma Whitaker, and CIS faculty Ken Blackwell and Rich Becker, who applied for these grants. And I'm excited about what this means for extending our pathways and bringing in more students. Thank you.
Congratulations to your team.
Thank you. Wonderful job. Thank you. Congratulations, Dr. McGinn. Student Services report to the Board of Trustees. Dr. Toggett, do you have anything additional to report?
I do. I just wanted to give a quick update on our enrollment numbers as of this morning. So some good news, our head count is up 0.8%, which actually only represents about a couple hundred students from last year. All FTE, which includes contracts or international running start, for example, is up 0.1%. But state FTE is down 2.57%. We also, though, have drops. We tend to do drops within the first few days of classes. We would have done it today. But because of CTC link, the calendar function is malfunctioning. So we usually drop in 2 batches, folks who registered earlier and then later, and we can't distinguish between the 2 right now. So we're hoping to do drops tomorrow. But that's currently where we are. And then the data, enrollment data are updated at the end. But we've, just to echo a lot of things that have been shared before, Elizabeth, Marty, and other folks, it really has been a full court press across student services and instruction in all areas of campus. Our campus groundskeepers have been, up each morning trying to get their leaves out of the way and to make things really presentable for students. But we also, another thing to kind of point out is this is also, I ask everyone for, grace and patience for many people on campus, because this is an exciting time because students are coming back, but this is actually kind of the end of the journey in some ways for enrollment services, because we've been pushing all summer, and through the 10th day, it's still a really, a lot of effort to try to get as many students enrolled as possible. So that's what I had for you, and we're definitely hopeful to round out the year up. We also have we're also waiting in some ways for the other shoe to drop.
Thank you.
Let's celebrate the victory, right?
That's right.
That's right. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you, Brett. Administrative Services Board, report to the board. Excuse me, I can't talk either. Mr. Ellison.
Thank you, Chair Miller. I just wanted to actually add my voice to that of Dr. Tagas and acknowledge the positive comments made by representatives of the faculty earlier regarding the contribution of administrative services as well as the other campus services providers in putting on this year's opening days events. It was certainly a maximum team effort by really everyone at the Olympic College and in our community. And so just very lost for words, gratified by that recognition and by just the fine events that we were able to put on and how they were received.
Thank you, Dr. Adler. Thank you, Mr. Ellison. Human Resources Board, report to the Board of Trustees.
I just have 2 quick things. Finding notes. First thing is I just want my team, 3 of them just got their certification in professional human resources, which is a really big deal if you're not in the HR world. Aaron Krause, Kathy Anderson, and Lydia Comanek. So super proud about them. And then I wanted to clarify from the AHE's report, administrators cannot skip evaluations or right their own. That's not a thing, nor has it ever been. And the second thing is I am disappointed with Elizabeth's comment that no progress has been made, for a week ago, asking the Senate for listening sessions. We can talk about what's needed. So progress is being made. If those sessions aren't going to be valuable, then we'll find a way. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
And just pick up Elizabeth. I want to thank you for the promise of the HR dashboard. Mentioned in your report.
Yes.
And we've all been looking for these numbers. I know you've had hurdles with CTC Link.
Right.
But we really are excited about seeing that.
So am I. One thing I just want to kind of comment on that too. We're having some trouble with our EEO data coming from CTC Link. I'm not sure if you know, but the race and ethnicity category has about 300 options that employees can choose from, but it won't report the typical EEO categories. It gives me those 300 in a spreadsheet. So I basically have to guess if that's a Native American or if it's an Islander or whatever. It won't report that way. So we got that fixed, I think. So I should be able to report on that next month.
And lastly, I wanted to thank you for the invitation to come and talk to the payroll department. I had a chance to come in and sit down and get a better understanding of the Herculean effort they go through every, 2 weeks to get payroll out the door due to all the issues with CTC Link. I want to say that I did take that. I had a conversation with Paul Francis, the new executive director of the board. He was hearing me, and I told him he's going to hear a whole lot more. This is better all the time. But, this isn't just our issue. It's now in all the institutions. Right? Finished implementation, and so it's an issue that needs to be addressed. It's really a drain on the system. It's going to hold us back on so many fronts. So anyway, we're fighting it out.
Yeah, they were there when I left to come to this meeting, so running their payrolls for this pay cycle.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank them.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you to your team. Communications, web services, and marketing report to the Board of Trustees. Hi, Sean.
Good evening, Chair Miller and members of the board. I have nothing additional to add. Are there any questions?
No.
How did the sneak preview go at the website?
The sneak preview of the website was fun. Kevin Blackwell was here, speaking of cybersecurity, and he's played a major hand in educating this community in computer information systems for many years. So it's always fun to talk shop with him. And one of our employees, Adam Zeck, he is a coding wizard and a product of our very own program. He's helped out with it in some ways in terms of some of the data integrations that we're doing. So it was really fun. It's exciting to share the progress on this project. We're trending towards an October 19th launch. That launch date has been somewhat fluid because this is a very comprehensive project that we're taking on. In addition to redesigning the web pages, we've conducted photo shoots with Olympic College students and employees. We've done how-to step-by-step videos for common enrollment processes. We are undoing decades of content. We are taking inaccessible PDF documents and redoing them as HTML web pages. So we're in the home stretch. And I think I'm excited to deliver this project for the college, our prospective students and the community, because I think it will be a source of pride and a rallying point for the college. This website reaches 3.5 million people per year, and it's an entry point and an initial contact with the college for many of our prospective students. And I hope that it will be viewed as a resource that they find value in and helps them in their journey here at Woodley College.
Great. Thank you.
Sean. And I apologize to diversity. I don't have that on my agenda. Diversity, equity, and inclusion report to the board. Sure. So my apologies.
Hello, Cheryl, Chair Miller and members of the board. So as I mentioned earlier, I kind of have two main goals as I enter this interim position. So the first main goal is developing or collaborating on a DEI strategic plan, and also sharing last year's climate assessment survey. So using that data, sharing it with our campus community partners, and developing steps forward. And that's the report.
Thank you so much.
Great, thanks.
Information technology report to the Board of Trustees.
Hello.
Hello.
Chair Miller, member of the board, and Dr. Cataluzzi. It's nice to see you in person this time. I was a little bitty screen last time. I have some great news from IT and my incredible staff. In the report, you'll see that we were going to do a firewall upgrade. That upgrade was completed, and something that does not happen in the IT world, nobody knew. Nobody noticed anything, nothing bad happened, so we're really And we've also implemented today in this building a guest wireless access point. For those students coming in that are new students that don't have access to our production wireless, they can now get on the internet with their phones, get text messages, parking transcripts, anything that they need, and that was just turned on today. So my staff is incredible. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you. Olympic College Foundation report to the Board of Trustees. Hi, Trevor.
Trustees, Chair Miller, Dr. Cataluzzi. So, like everybody else, it's been kind of a pretty exciting couple of weeks with being back on campus, seeing everybody. I'm very pleased to report that we just completed a second round of scholarships. But also in the last week, I was able to help several students actually apply for some of the emergency funding that we have. And I did that in person. I had one student come to my office day before yesterday. He had called me on the phone with an advisor, and then I was walking over to the student center and I ran into him, and he told me that he didn't have a computer. So I said, well, come to my office and let's fill out the application and let's get it done. And so just, that's why I came to the college, to work with people. And, you know, as you all know, 2 years is pretty painful. I didn't submit a written report to the board today because I've been crazy busy with planning for the community luncheon. I've been working on table captains, invites, advertising with the Kitsap Sun, the coffee hour, to just name a few, as well as my staff has been very busy with that as well. I just received an amazing presentation from Rachel Mullins-Bainey on the OC Promise and changes that are going to potentially be made to the OC Promise that will be presented to the executive committee of the board tomorrow for the foundation, the executive committee of board for the foundation, so that everybody's clear on that. In addition, this last Friday, several of you, Tom and Harriet, participated in strategic planning for the board, where we hired an outside organization to come to the Paulsville campus and meet with the entire foundation board, and Martin participated in that as well. And I believe we made some amazing progress in that regard in terms of really clarifying our direction for the foundation. And so, you know, more to come on that, and I'm really excited to see what the report is on that. And then the last thing is, I too attended the NCAA Black Women Are Supreme event, and was honored to sit there and see Teresa McDermott receive that award. So congratulations, Teresa. But I'd also like to say that, you know, everybody that I work with at this college, we're all supreme, and I'm proud to be here as part of that. So thank you very much, and that's my report to the board.
Thanks, Trevor.
I do, Trevor.
Yeah.
The tables at the luncheon, how many seats is at each table?
So it's approximately 10 seats for most of the tables. So that would be one table captain, and that would be one OC Promise student or scholarship student, and that would be yourself, your table captain, and then 7 guests. So your responsibility would be to invite 7 people. Or 8. Is it 8?
8.
Yes, 8. So, sorry about that. I went to law school. I didn't go to math school.
But he's in charge of the $22 million endowment.
So, does anybody else have any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
October 10th, the time?
October 10th is the community luncheon, and that'll start at 11 a.m. for the coffee hour. And then the actual luncheon will start promptly at noon.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Trevor. Chief of Staff, report to the Board of Trustees. Adam?
Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, I just really want to echo everyone's comments today about how hard student services has been working these last couple of months really to get our enrollment numbers stabilized. I had the opportunity to go staff the welcome back booths first day of class. It was 9 a.m. And I've never seen so much joy on students' faces in the last 2 years, and just true professionals at all levels serving those students, going the extra mile, taking them to where they need to go, walking them through their final checklist items. And just selfishly, they had worked themselves so hard to get their class students in, and they deserve all the credit for these enrollment numbers. I mean, I just can't imagine where we would be without the dedication of the classified staff, and student services, and really across the college. It's been truly phenomenal. I want to touch base on opening days as well. We had the events last week. Appreciate everyone's participation and attendance, especially those who helped put on a session. COVID-19, you've heard recently that the governor has announced his intentions to end the state of emergency and all remaining proclamations by October 31st. We are still waiting on more information from the state board and the governor's office on what the post-pandemic world is going to look like. And we're prepared to work with our internal constituents to make sure that going forward we're operating in a safe, healthy manner. So other than that, I'm open to any questions.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Adam.
Before we move on to our consent agenda, I would like to take a moment to announce a slight change to our monthly reporting expectations from the administration. As discussed at our retreat in August, the board would like to move to quarterly reports from each administrative area, as opposed to the monthly reports currently produced. We have instructed Adam to set the schedule for these reports, so please work with him on who will be reporting at the October meeting. Thank you. Consent items. Approval of the draft minutes for the August 15th, 2022 Special Board of Trustees meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve the draft minutes of the August 16th, 2022 regular Board of Trustees meeting as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. Approval of the draft minutes for the August 16th, 2022 regular Board of Trustees meeting. Do we have a motion?
I'll move. Second.
A motion has been moved and seconded to approve the draft minutes of the August 16th, 2022 regular Board of Trustees meeting as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. Information and action items. Our first information item is the yearly events calendar, September 2022. Adam?
Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, there's just a couple things I'd like to highlight from your events calendar. First and foremost, Vice Chair Acton, I've added the faculty senate meetings on there for you. Also, for those who are attending the ACCT Leadership Congress meetings at the end of October, your packets will be coming out shortly with all your arrangements. Any questions on the events coming up?
Is there a chief of the dream?
Yes, the college is evaluating the team that we would be able to send to that conference. Typically, it's held in February. More information will be coming out on that. I'd like to point out one additional thing that's not included on the calendar. It's just a reminder that the board evaluation are due, so to be discussed at next month's meeting.
Thank you, Adam. The second information item is the budget update, month ending June 2022.
Thank you, Chair Miller. Members of the Board of Trustees, presented in your board packets is the budget update for the month ending June 2022. If you'll turn to the statement of the college's statement of operations, I'll walk you through some of the highlights from that. The state allocations are down approximately $300,000 as a result lower billings for legislative provisos and earmarks. Tuition revenue received exceeded the budget by $600,000. Running start revenue also exceeded the budget by $1.2 million. Overall, there was $180,000 less in revenue as compared to last year's results. And there was $650,000 less in revenue compared to what was budgeted for this last year. There are no noteworthy expenditures to highlight. However, overall spending was $1.7 million less than the prior year and $2.3 million less than that which was budgeted in the prior year. Moving on to cash on hand, there's nothing really remarkable there. Cash was lower than the previous month as a result of pushing through operating expenses at year end. These increased expenses were at least partially mitigated by increases in income from grant and contract billings and the receipt of state reimbursements. That concludes my report. The college recommends that the Board of Trustees accept the budget update for the month ending June 2022 as an information item. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Chair Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Ellison. Are there any questions?
I'd just like to thank you for the budget management last year that produced that $1.7 million surplus. And that would now apply to this year's budget and softening the blow, again, our enrollment shortfall.
Absolutely. And that's really truly due to responsible budget management on the part of the whole college community. So thank you. I do also want to mention, I neglected to say this before, I'm standing here on behalf of Angela Hamilton, who was not able to attend tonight.
Thank you so much. You and your team have done a great job.
Thank you very much.
The next information item is the administrative sabbatical policy.
Okay, so we provided a copy of the draft policy and the request form in its draft version. The same FCW that grants sabbatical for faculty member also grants sabbatical for administrative personnel. Many of our sister colleges in the system also have a similar program. So this would allow us to create one here at OC. So today it's just for reading, right? Adam? Yeah. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
So this is a new program here at OC?
For OC, yes.
For OC. Right. And so, well, why now?
So we're reviewing a lot of our personnel policies in HR. This is one of those that came up. We've looked at administrator salaries. Now we're looking at employment conditions for administrators, and this is one of the ones that we took on first. So I expect to be presenting quite a few coming up.
Okay. Forewarned. Okay.
Right.
So I mean, have you had requests in the past?
There's been things that's talked about. A lot of administration kind of feels ignored to some degree. The faculty have their unions, specified have theirs, administrators have nothing. So I've spent a lot of time talking with them about what could attract or retain administrative talent. And one of the things is some of these fringe benefits. And so this is our first step in that direction.
Could you give me an example of what some of you might qualify for something like this?
One of the things I was thinking about, we've been trying to create a supervisor academy for some time. The person that's in charge of that right now is my labor and employee relations manager, who's quite busy. So it'd be nice to be able to give 30, 60 days for them to go out and research what's the best way to train new supervisors, create, develop that program, and really focus on that work. So that would be one way that I could see, at least that would be my recommendation. Additionally, it can go up to 90 days. That could be a quarter's worth of classes with professional development for administrators to bring back. So those are the types of opportunities I see that would really qualify.
So this would really play into our emphasis on innovation here, trying to get some new things going. Free up some time to do that. It's great. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you. The board will now adjourn to executive session for 20 minutes. The purpose of the executive session will be to review the performance of a public employee and to consult with legal counsel regarding agency enforcement actions or actual or potential agency litigation.
Board of Trustees will adjourn their executive session in the room right next door to March. And we'll go ahead and resume the Board of Trustees meeting at 7:04 right now. So in 30 minutes, 7:30. Yeah. Chair Miller can say 20 minutes and then have a minute at the third.
answers to those questions.
Yeah.
He reminds me of my ex when they were daddy. Trying to work and see.
Get it in mind,
No. I'll be back on the.
Is there anything else for the good of the order? With no other items for the good of the order, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you everyone for coming and staying till the very end. Have a good evening. Thank you, trustees. You guys keep doing a great job. Let's get it done. Go get us. Thank you.